Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Lorraine Grillo, First Deputy Mayor. Today is a sad day and an emotional one for me. It's sad for the second time in a matter of hours, our country has experienced a life-changing bill. Today, the Supreme Court decided to overturn Roe v. Wade, the law that in the land that was established 50 years ago that said women had the right to an abortion, to have a say over what happens to their bodies. And it's emotional for me because this is a law I personally fought for 50 years ago with millions of others. It's an outrage, and this is decades of progress erased. This is an attack on women's rights. And I continue to stand in solidarity with everyone who believes they should have the right to make their own decisions about their own lives. And it's extremely sad and extremely emotional for me because my 3 daughters and my granddaughter have less freedom than I did. But we and they are blessed. They're blessed to live here in New York City, where we are and will be free to choose. Thank you, and I want to now introduce Deputy Mayor Ann Williams Eisen.
My name is Deputy Mayor Ann Williams Eisen. I stand here with you today as a woman, as a mother, and as a daughter. So the first thing I did today was I called my 91-year-old mom. And she said to me, what is happening in this country? Don't they know? Don't they know that when I was back in Trinidad, there were so many young women that lost their lives? Don't they know that today has made people unsafe? Don't they care? I didn't know what to say to her. So my next thought went to my 2 daughters, 28 and 20. Because the truth of the matter is, being a mother is the best job I have ever had, and I loved it so much. But when I was 18 years old, I was not ready to be a mom. So if I didn't have access to a safe, affordable abortion, I would not be here with you all today. I wouldn't have the life that I wanted to have. I wouldn't be able to be the mother that I want to be. I wouldn't be able to, at 18, I wasn't financially ready, socially ready, emotionally ready. So today is so important for all of those people throughout this country that do not and are not as safe as they need to be. I also want to be really clear and state firmly that abortion is still legal in New York. We stand as a safe haven for all, and will do everything we can to support people who come to our city for their reproductive health care. Abortion is health care, and access to abortion is a public health issue. We're expanding and enhancing access to abortion in our city as we remain a safe haven. Especially, we know that today is going to be hard for the least amongst us, communities of color, and especially the poor. We will be providing accurate information for the public on how to access and pay for services. We've updated and enhanced our public websites and 311 to provide clear information. We are also improving patient access for everyone in our city. We are standing up a citywide abortion call line and navigation hub so there's a single place to find all information. We will ensure our public hospital system has every resource it needs to meet the needs of patients, regardless of where they are from or their ability to pay. We are increasing provider capacity in our city and adding medication abortion at our sexual health clinics, which will provide more access in communities that need it the most. Lastly, we will ensure safety and security for all patients and providers. While we're doing as much as we can as a city to provide care to all who seek it, I want to reiterate, all women. I also want to encourage everyone to take the time that they need today to recognize what you're feeling. My head is spinning. My hands are shaking. My heart is broken today. So I need you. If you want to protest, then you protest. But if you want to rest, you rest today. Because we have a lot of work that we need to do. And for me, rage and hope live side by side. As a Black woman in America, they have to, right, y'all? And so I want you to rest because we have a lot of work to do today for my children and for all of our children. I now will hand it over to my sister deputy mayor, Maria Torres Springer.
Thank you, Anne. My name is Maria Torres Springer. I'm the Deputy Mayor for Economic and Workforce Development. I'm also the proud mother of 2 amazing girls. In fact, becoming a mother was the best choice I ever made. And that's exactly what having a child should be, a choice. My daughters, like women and girls all over this country, they have dreams. To go to college, to be elite gymnasts, to travel the world, to open a business, to go to law school, maybe even run for office. And for the past half century, this was the promise for women in this country. We had the right to decide when and whether to become mothers. We could finish school, start a career, and have a family when we were ready. But 5 justices on the Supreme Court have decided to take this all away. And my daughter's generation will be the first one in 50 years that has lost their right to determine their future. And to be very clear, this isn't some abstract fight about social issues. These are kitchen table concerns that impact a woman's ability to be economically stable, to continue her education, and to plan for her future. Legal abortion has indeed transformed women's lives and economic opportunities over the last half century. It has given women greater assurance and control over when and whether to start a family, allowing them to fully participate in our economy. It has reduced Black maternal mortality by 40%. And for the 1 in 4 women in the United States who have made the decision at some point in their lives to end a pregnancy, it has meant respect of their fundamental rights to bodily autonomy and access to care. Today's outrageous and heart-wrenching ruling claws back the hard-won agency women have secured over their bodies and their lives. The freedom of women to control their bodies should not hinge on a state line. Women in Alabama, Texas, Oklahoma deserve the same rights as women in New York. But today, 36 million Americans, nearly half of the women of reproductive age in this country, stand to lose safe and legal abortion access. Now, pregnancy and abortion are deeply personal matters. It is because these issues are so important that we must have the right to make our own choices. No one can really know what the circumstances are of others. And that is especially true for judges and for politicians, many of whom will never be pregnant. I know this firsthand. I had an abortion. It was the right decision for me and my husband. And so today, I share your anger, I share your disappointment, I share your frustration, and I share your outrage. But also today, we in the Adams administration want to send a very clear message that we will take the necessary steps to fully protect both women in this city and those who come to our city to access the freedom which may no longer exist in their hometowns. Today and always in this city, women will have full autonomy over their bodies and the right to make their own medical decisions. But then tomorrow, and every day until reproductive health access in this country is fully restored, we in the Adams administration will be right here with you, hand in hand. It will not be an easy fight, but it is a fight that we can win. So let's get to work. I'd now like to introduce the Deputy Mayor for Operations, Mira Joshi.
Hello, I'm Mira Zoshi, Deputy Mayor for Operations. Women have children. Women overwhelmingly are responsible for raising those children. This reality, without a doubt, frames the quality of women's lives. Whether we work, where we work, what times we can work, and our ability to engage in and contribute to society. For women, safe, I'll be louder than him. Legal abortion is the tool. For women, safe, legal abortion is the tool that allows us to break out of these constraints. And today, the Supreme Court stole that tool. They stole our freedom. They stole the wide open future of our sisters and our daughters. They stole the boundless dreams and aspirations of young women across the nation. Our female role models often say, "Young girl, this can someday be you." But today, the foundational premise of that statement has been shattered. And with this theft in broad daylight, the court sent a deeply disturbing, spine-chilling message. Women in America, you're not worthy. You're not worthy of having the ability to make a choice that will allow you to pursue your dreams, follow your ambition, break cycles of poverty, and live full and complete lives. This event is packed with women, many of whom's presence here today is a direct result of having choice. And it's a stunning example of the power of that choice. This is a room symbolic of powerful, colorful gatherings across the country. Now imagine a world where many of these valuable creative figures are absent. The strong women to the left and right of you, all because they can't make a choice over their body, and because they can't make a choice, they can't participate. That's a dark world. That's a world in which we all lose. So let's not get confused. Today, the nation was robbed of the hard-fought right for women to participate in all parts of our society. It's a right that allows our nation to be a more complete and a more just one. So let that ugly and simple truth be what burns in our souls and feeds our fight forward. Thank you. I'd like to turn it over to our Deputy Mayor, Sheena Wright.
I so deeply appreciate the sisterhood that we have here in the city. I am not as eloquent today as my sister deputy mayors, and I don't have prepared remarks. Quite frankly, I was stunned. Like the wind was knocked out of me today. We knew it was coming, but it's like, I was like, no, they won't do that. They won't take away this fundamental right that women enjoy in this country. And when it happened, I was just on my heels. I couldn't function the rest of the day. And the shock and outrage that I know we all feel, as has been said, has to be met with a fight back. I am grateful that we live in the city of New York, in the state of New York, but I weep for all of our sisters who live in all of those states who are gonna be shamed, trying to shame them. They're gonna be persecuted. This is a horrible, horrible outcome. But I know, particularly with these women here and others across the country, we will continue to fight, and we will get on the right side of this issue. While we are stunned today, we're outraged, we're in despair, we have not lost, because we will continue to press forward. The last thing I'll say is, as I thought about today, I thought, what's next? What's next? Clearly, anything is possible if this fundamental right has been ripped from us. So we have to stay vigilant, we have to stay focused, and we have to keep pressing forward. I want to introduce our Chief Housing Officer, Jessica Katz.
Hi, everybody. I wasn't planning on coming and speaking here today, but listening to these amazing women and their stories, I felt compelled to. And I want to say something to everybody here, and particularly the men here today, is to just be gentle with the women in your life today. Because I'm relieved to be living in New York City on this difficult day, but it's also cold comfort because it still feels like a fundamental right has been taken away from us. As you've heard a few times here today, there's a few different kinds of abortion stories, and I've experienced a few of them. There's the kind where you're so young and it's the wrong guy and the wrong time, and you have your whole life ahead of you, and you don't think that that should be determined by one moment of bad judgment. There's the kind where you're having a miscarriage and you're in the middle of fertility treatments that didn't work again, and you're just desperate for it to be over so you can have the baby that you so desperately want. And I can't even imagine what it would have been like in that moment to have to beg a judge for mercy, as so many women across the country are now going to have to do. And then there's the kind where you have an amazing family and the children that you want and the career that you've aspired to your whole life, and your family feels complete, and you don't think that another pregnancy and another baby is what's best for you or your family in that moment. So all those kinds of stories. There's a few other kinds that I've been very lucky not to have to experience. So I want to just make sure that everyone here is gentle and kind to each other today, and just to remind everybody how much all these amazing women on the stage today, we owe not just our careers that we love, but also the families that we love, to being able to have that right to have an abortion. So thank you so much to everyone who's here, and with that, Mayor Eric Adams.
Thank you. And I thought it was imperative that we heard from the women of the office. And I just want to bring on, before I speak, a woman who has been very much part of my career and have really watched me develop into the person that I am. And I just want her to be part of showing what the women of this office feel and what they are experiencing. Ingrid?
As our first deputy mayor and all of our other deputy mayors expressed, today is a tragic day, a sad day. When women cannot make a choice of what they want to do with their own bodies, it's completely unacceptable. For a woman who is raped, who didn't want to engage in having sex, and becomes pregnant, to have to give birth to a baby that she may be ill-equipped to nurture is unacceptable. Deputy Mayor William Eisen said that whatever you feel like doing today, you should do. If you want to protest, protest. I say to you this: there will come a time when the opportunity will present itself for this tragic ruling to be reversed. Everyone who is outraged, you must exercise your right to vote for the proper president who will appoint Supreme Court justices who will see and understand the magnitude and the scale of what has happened today. The Supreme Court isn't standing alone in this ruling. Every American who is outraged, who didn't vote for the proper president to appoint the proper Supreme Court Supreme Court justices, you are at fault. And you will have a chance to correct that wrong. So I strongly encourage Americans to do more than just protest. do the right thing. Exercise your right to put in the proper person who can make the right size appointments. And without any further ado, it's indeed a pleasure for me to present to you our 110th Mayor of the City of New York, Eric Adams.
Thank you. And I knew in hindsight there was a reason I brought on board with me for the first time 5 deputy mayors and my chief advisor, all of the women who are here with us in this administration. And something is significant, as I say to them all the time, you know, ignore the noise. Hundreds of us are on the step. You have one idiot out there, and you may think that that's what Americans are feeling. That's just noise. That's just noise. And notice it's not a woman. Notice that. Jessica said something that just really resonated with me at the wrong time. I was 15, and I just got home from being arrested, and Linda came to me, and she said, Eric, I'm pregnant. And look at your life. And it was my desire automatically just to say, Linda, keep the baby. She said, Eric, you're arrested, you're not going to school. What future is this baby going to have? And she made the decision that was smart for both of us. She made the right call because she was empowered. She was in control. And some years later, when Jordan's mom was pregnant, she made the determination she wanted to have her son. She made the determination because she was empowered to make that determination. Don't kid ourselves. This is the erosion and destruction of the ability of women to have and be empowered. 5 men who could never conceive made a determination on what will happen to the women of this city and country. Every decision not to have a child comes with it a story. And each one of those individual stories are so important, they're so private, they're so significant. And no woman just decides automatically. It's a deep thought to make that determination. And now to rob them of that ability to do so is probably one of the most darkest periods in our country. So what a battle we are in. This is so surreal what is happening in our country. It is as though everything we fought for to become the social conscience of the globe is being dismantled right now. And this is the second time in a week that a radical Supreme Court has issued a decision aimed directly at safety, health, freedoms of New Yorkers and all Americans. A second time in a week. What a warning sign. This decision will fundamentally alter the role of women in our society by constraining their freedoms and challenging their autonomy. A direct attack at women in this country. It takes us backwards in a dark time in our nation's history when women used to go to places and have unsafe pregnancy terminations, particularly those poorer and black and brown communities. We know that. We're coming with this knowledge when we make this change. They were targeted in these communities. After today, young women will come of age with fewer rights than their parents. They come of age with fewer rights than their parents. Fewer alternatives. Won't be able to make these decisions. It sends chills down my spine. This is more than an issue of reproductive rights and public health. This is a decision about controlling a woman's body. Controlling her body. You can't legislate that. You can't put in place some Supreme Court decision on that, the right to control your body. This is about who decides, who rules, who has power, and who's deprived of it. And right now, the American people are being deprived of that fundamental power to choose one's destiny. Whether they are allowing dangerous people to buy and carry deadly weapons or banning women for making their own health decisions, the far right, enabled by this court, has declared war on the American people. War on public safety, and our pursuit of happiness. They want to talk about constitutions. Somewhere I read that you have the right to pursue happiness. You just robbed that right away. The decision in these two consecutive cases, Roe versus Wade and Bruin and Dobbs, also highlight a fundamental hypocrisy on the issues of personal rights and states' rights. When it comes to our bodies, we have no rights. But when it comes to their guns, they have every right. This is not wise jurisprudence or reasonable argument. This is a power grab. The delegitimizing the court even as it undermines our freedoms. While there is talk of history in these decisions, there's little acknowledgement of the reality. That is what we are facing in this court, including the reality of how this decision would play out for those already struggling with poverty and inequality, with racism and other crises. The reality that most Americans face, especially in poorer parts of this country. The court's dissenting opinion highlights that this court is now voting politically and not judicially. In my view, this decision signals that overturning Roe versus Wade is only the beginning of a long-range plan to dismantle individual rights and roll back social progress in the service of minority rule. From marriage equality, something I fought for on the Senate floor, to the rights of contraceptions, from voting rights to human rights, the court intends to destroy long-established protections and turn back the clock on the progress that many have fought so hard for. This is their beginning, but this is not our ending to fight against the Supreme Court and use our powers. And as Deputy Mayor William Eisen has indicated, we are going to step up, because this is the city of fighting on behalf of all. We will step up and ensure those women across this country that need a safe haven, we will ensure they get information and ensure that our healthcare facilities are there to stand with them. And let's be clear, we're not standing idly by. We're working to inform the public of their rights in New York and ensuring the safety and security of everywhere. New York will be the safe haven for America and for the women of this country. All Americans must have a legal right to reproductive health care in any kind, including abortion. Everyone must be free to live their own lives as they choose without being constrained to retrograde in state-sponsored dominance. Anything less is an affront to our fundamental rights and must be fought with fierce resistance. And in New York and all over this nation, that fierce resistance will rise. New York is the place where freedom is defined, and rightfully so. Our demographics, our ethnicity, our diversity is reflective of every country and every state in this country. New Yorkers aren't going to stand by and let the will of the majority of Americans be bypassed. They won't be undermined by a cabal of activist judges with a clear political agenda. We must use our power of protest, as was mentioned, and our sacred right to vote, as Ingrid mentioned. to stop this assault on our individual liberties. And now more than ever, it's time for Congress not to sit on past precedent. Let's codify abortion into law. Let's pass the law that states women have the right to choose their body. This is our moment, New York. This is our moment, America. Let's step up and reach that moment. Thank you.
So, ladies and gentlemen, if you have any questions on topic, please.
Hi, thank you all so much for sharing your stories today. We appreciate it. Mayor, you're calling on Congress to codify abortion. Why not the state legislature? Do you want them to go into a special session and do it in New York to get constitutional amendments? What else can be done in New York, and what else would you like to see Congress do specifically? Thank you.
Thank you very much. And, you know, just by the manner you displayed your passion, you may be a reporter, but you're emotionally attached to this issue. And I can tell that. As a woman, you are offended. And we should look at every law that's possible in the state. And we should, just as we're going to ask the governor to return to Albany to deal with the right to carry, we should deal with this issue. But let's be clear. If we pass something in the state, we are leaving our sisters behind in other states. This is a national problem, and it's time for national leadership to step up and solve this problem. What does it say to my auntie in Alabama? What does it say to my family members in Florida? I am not going to say we should only have the right in New York. We should have the right in our country. We will look at that fund, and we think that's an excellent idea. Our legal counsel, as well as our budget office, is going to look at that. As Deputy Mayor William Eisen indicated, we are leaving no stones unturned. This is a fight that we believe we must take on behalf of the people of this city and behalf of the people of this country. This is not a fight we're going to sit idly by on. Deputy Mayor William Eisen, you want to talk about what we're doing?
Thanks for the question. I just want to also say that this is an issue of rights, but it's also an issue of safety. This is not going to reduce the number of abortions, as we've seen in states that already make abortions more difficult. This is going to increase the number of unsafe abortions. It's going to increase the number of unsafe pregnancies. So this is a direct harm on women, in addition to snatching their rights and their choice. For the city of New York, we're working to expand access to medication abortion in our sexual health clinics. We're working to expand the provider capacity and the number of abortions conducted at our public hospital system. And most importantly, we're looking at also supporting people who want to come to our city to get access to care, to get the supports they need, things like transportation, lodging, food, support so that they can travel to our city and get taken care of holistically. And so we'll be announcing plans over the coming days, weeks, and months. And I'm eager to do that with partnership with all these fantastic leaders here.
Anti-abortion advocates have really deeply held religious beliefs, and they see this as a religious issue, a moral imperative. What do you say to them?
I'll say the same thing we would say to anyone. As Dr. Fassan pointed out, this is a health issue, and particularly in poorer communities. Access to quality health care is a long-time fight. As we look at what happens when unwanted pregnancies, as Ingrid pointed out, one could be the victim of a crime. I believe all of us need to look inward and state that we should never dismantle a woman's right to choose her body. I don't know any law that has been put in place, or ruling that has been put in place, that allow men not to have the right over their bodies. So why can't we do the same for women? Our law department has been extremely busy from the terrible ruling that was handed down yesterday to this. Judge Sylvia Hines Radix is here. She's going to be partnering with our chief counsel. We are communicating with lawyers all across this country to really combat these two issues, but also to look at the other issues on the horizon. This is really the beginning of the actions, I believe, of the Supreme Court. And we're going to look at everything that's possible for New York to utilize what's within our scope of authority to push back on rulings such as this.
Could you talk a little bit about folks who feel under siege? So abortion is protected in New York by state law, but folks are worried that the Supreme Court could come for the state's abortion statutes next. People are worried that the Supreme Court could come for gay marriage next, that it could come for the contraception next. What do you say to folks who look at, well, if Roe v. Wade can give in, what protects every other sort of modern civil right?
I would say to New Yorkers and Americans, be very afraid, And that fear should turn into mobilization. That fear should play out as we make a decision of electing the right people to make the decision on who's going to be our Supreme Court justice. 6-3 right now. I believe that this is a real plan to look at all the things that they've been waiting to dismantle taking place. So we can't allow fear to stymie us, to sit still. We must allow that fear to motivate us to ensure that we could balance out this court. I never thought we would see the court use politics or personal beliefs to get in the way of what the American people want. So this is an alarming, concerning time. And if we ignore that, and believe as though that this is just two issues that were handed down, this is not an overall plan, that's a big mistake. So what does that call for? That calls for women rights activists to partner with those from the LGBTQ plus community, to partner with those with immigration rights, to partner with those with voting rights. We can't remain divided. We have to be united to pursue, because if we ignore what happened to women today, they could happen to the members of the LGBTQ plus community tomorrow, immigrants, voting rights. All of these issues are in play, and we have to unite together and say we are fortifying our front to fight this.
Would it be fair to say that this decision, perhaps in spite of it or because of it, will actually make abortion services more widely available in New York than they were before?
Well, and I understand what you're saying, NJ, but it's just not about New York. There's no one here in this room that does not have a family member outside the state. And if we basically say, well, you know what, we dodged a bullet, then that is not who we are as a city. This city has always reached beyond our borders to state that we are in this together. This city, there's something special about New York. We are the social conscience of this country. And the reason we're here is not because of what is impacting us directly, but what is impacting our country indirectly. So if one of their children decide to move to another state, their child may be in that state and they're not going to have the rights that they had here. So that is why this is so important to move this to the national level. We're going to do what we have to do here and make sure this is a safe haven, but we need the national government to step up with the same level of vigilance that we're seeing here.
Are you saying that we will have more services in New York because of, in spite of what the Supreme Court decided?
Dr. Fasan and Deputy Mayor William Eisen, our team is sitting down. As soon as we thought this was on the horizon, we started thinking about what could we do. And we're going to continue to fortify the grounds here, and both of them and their entire team is looking at this. This must be a safe haven for people who are seeking refuge from what is happening in their state.
Just a couple of questions. One thing, is it for somebody who's going to be in one of these states, and I know you touched on this, but could you expand a little more on this plan to offer transportation or help them with some subsidies to get here? Will that also even extend to legal protection if in their state it's very stringent? And the other thing is, in New York City, are you going to put on more police patrols at locations where abortions are already there in case of any sort of protest or retail violence?
We're all going through economic challenges. We don't have an open-ended purse to everyone in this country that desires to give transportation. Whomever comes here for assistance, we will be here for that. And that is what we're going to do. We're going to see what we could do with the minimum amount of resources for those that we can give transportation to. But we're also asking our corporate entities. There's no reason all of our corporations can't come together and put together some form of pot to help those who are seeking the right to have an abortion. When it comes down to police, I spoke with the police commissioner this morning. We thought we had a suspicious package at a site where someone was protesting at, or protesters were there. We're going to remain vigilant at all of these locations to ensure that no one is put in harm's way, no one is threatened, and no one is put in a position where they will be harassed out of their right to have an abortion if they choose to do so. No, you don't have to do a fixed post there. We will make sure that we bring in all of our clinics, Planned Parenthood and others, and put in place a real plan of how to notify if they believe there's something suspicious, a suspicious package, or someone is acting in any form of disorderly conduct.
Some Democrats look to you as a national leader. If you want Washington to act, do you support expanding the Supreme Court? Do you support ending the filibuster? How else are they going to get this done?
Well, no, I am a local leader. It's just that the way goes New York goes the country. This is America's city. So it's not so much who I am, it's what the city represents. And our voices cascade throughout the entire country. We have great leaders there. Chuck Schumer just passed an important bill in the Senate around guns. Hakeem Jeffries, the leader of the Democratic Conference, there are amazing leaders there that also understand this issue. They must work out that plan on what we need to do, but the expansion of the Supreme Court is crucial. We need to balance out this court before they do more harm than what they've done thus far. Thank you.